All right, this is a quick update on my like a previous video of Marlowe bags. That's these bags here, and these are good for freezing, adding hot water to kind of cook your food, dehydrate food. So the whole idea of this was to prep to where I can go backpacking with some decent food versus this MRE stuff. And these bags worked out well. There's some few pitfalls on that. One is these bags are, things loud. They're 7 by 10 inches. This is a little bit bigger than I need. And what I would do is what I found that works well, and I would label like how many grams. I always measure everything in grams. It's a little bit more precise. So I would say like 150 grams of lentils, 200 grams of protein. I forget what the exact what amount that was, what I used, to be honest with you. But that was the calculation to where I know I could grab this. I'll have like X amount of calories in there. I'll have the X amount of protein, carbs to keep me going. And I'd use a black Sharpie to just write down here what I needed. And these this was a big meal. Like this was like end of the day, big meal type of meal. And these bags are a little bit bigger than I needed. So at the end, and then there's a lot of other things. When I froze the chicken or froze when I would make up the meal, I would freeze it and then I would bring it out. And then when it's time to eat, I got to boil water, put it into these bags, heat that up. But the problem, it's pretty much common sense, is I have a brick of ice. I just poured a bunch of hot water on it. Yes, it's going to melt, but it's still going to be cold. So that didn't go as planned. These things would work great if they're actually dehydrated, or if you're just going out for for not frozen pretty much, and you dumped hot water on them and it's going to, be hot. So that was one of the bigger mistakes I did, was taking a block of ice, putting hot water on it and thinking that it was going to be a warm, hot meal. The other thing is everything got a little bit soupy. So with dehydrated stuff, there's no liquid in it. And then you add liquid and it expands out. So what these are pretty much already have liquid in it. So then you add more liquid and it's a giant soupy mess. Well, it wasn't a mess. It was just soup pretty much. It wasn't what I was expecting. But when you're out there in the woods, I don't care. I was eating it a heck of a lot better than the MREs. But I will say some MREs are pretty good these days. But how I cook my chicken is I have 10 pounds. I get it from a local place down here that sells it by bulk. No, it's not organic and all this stuff. I mean, I don't know of too many places that sell organic chicken that sells in bulk, and I like to buy in bulk. But anyway, here nor there, it comes in 4 10-pound bags. So I take a 10-pound bag, and I'll cut it into pieces where, it's kind of I eyeball it up to about so the chicken breast, it comes in big, huge fillets, cut in half, and I cut in half again. So I have 4s of one big chicken breast. And then I would stack the smoker just full of chicken. Add your smoked chips in there, add some water, and just, put it on, turn it on at my electric smoker, turn it on and just let it smoke. And usually it would take about 2.5 hours. I normally don't cook the chicken the whole way through. I get the thermometer and I put it in for 160 degrees. And then, by the time it sits in, it will kind of cool off on a heat. And then when you reheat it again, how I run it, I'm not saying this is what you need to do because I hate giving this type of advice. That's how I do it, and I haven't gotten sick. I know some people you have to cook certain foods the whole way through. But I think once you get chicken to 160 degrees, I think you're going to be pretty safe. 160, 165 is where I try to get it. But after that's done, then I take it into the house, and I put in this big bowl, 10 pounds of chicken. What happens a lot with chicken and meats too is they inject it full. I don't know what they do, but it's full of water. So if you ever notice, when you cook certain meats, it's a lot of water on the dish or in a pan somewhere. So that's what you run into. So even though you have 10 pounds of chicken, you're probably going to lose 30% of that in water. The buying bulk at this place here, I don't even know what this place is like. It's just like a chicken farm or something. And local residents will sign up and they say, hey, this one day this month we sell chicken by the bulk, and you can get pretty good chicken. I like it. So when you're done cooking it, you got all this chicken, and it used to be this big, now it's down to this big. But for whatever reason, this chicken doesn't really do it that much. Maybe you lose 10% versus 30%. So when the chicken's in there, every 20 to 30 minutes, I will go in with this spritzer, whatever, and just spray some of the chicken with Worcester sauce, water, and apple cider vinegar. It's just what I use. And this is the Worcester bottle, and I just put the spray a spray nozzle I had laying around. And this is new. It's not like it was used for some other chemical. It was new. So and for whatever reason, it just screwed on, and it was great. But it doesn't spray as good as I would like. So if you start adding like different herbs in here and seasonings, it's going to get clogged up in this one right here. There's some other products out there that you can buy for, I forget, maybe $30 or so. And I'll probably pick one of those up to where it's designed for this type of work. So that's probably my next project. But for right now, experiment. This worked well. Something else I experimented with is in my Vitamix is just making a paste up that's kind of like barbecue sauce, really. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. But this one here, I tried. What the heck did I put? I put like mayo and a bunch of stuff in there. It's my buddy told me to try it out. He called it the White Lightning or something, and it was pretty good. But I'm just pretty simple to where I want a little bit salt in there, because when I put what's it called, seasonal from Lowry's seasonal. That's normally what I would put on the chicken. But anyway, I tried this paste up, and it turned out all right. I actually enjoyed it, but it was a mess. And once everything dripped down off the inside the smoker, it was a complete mess. I don't know if I'll do that again, but I probably will, because regular chicken just tastes blah. And so this smoke taste, it gives it some flavor to it, really. And then you're just adding salt. And what the salt does is once it's in this bag, everything gets a little bit more salty in it, like the lentils and stuff. So that part worked out well. And what I experimented with was, at this time with the chicken, was cutting it up into bigger pieces, smaller pieces, and then I have a food processor to where I just shred it up into it just shreds it up pretty good. And if I was doing it again every time, I would just shred it up, measure out what I need, like 200 grams of chicken for the protein, dump it in these bags, and move on. The bigger pieces were all right, but I wasn't a fan of it when I was eating it. I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe I just, like, with all the extra water I had to add, it was creating this like soup. So when you have a soup, you don't want to eat into a big piece of chicken or something. So I experiment with different sizes, different textures. Okay, so that was the original plan for the bags, were for backpacking, going on to my elk trip. Because the thing about once you cook food, you can refreeze it again. So when I go elk hunting, I'll go into the backwoods maybe 7 days, and then I'll come out and I'll stay at a hotel, get a hot meal, get a shower, regroup, reanalyze what I'm doing out there, check in with the family and everything, and then go back out and hit again, and also refreeze my meals. Usually you put them in there overnight. Make sure you get one of those mini freezers when it's in a hotel. It'll freeze it, and you're good to go for the next 7 days. And usually they start on thawing about like day 4 or something, but they're always chilled. If you get a good cooler, they're always going to be chilled. And I only made about 7 of these I made up, because the other in between, I just get tired of eating this stuff. So I would, switch it up with other food as well. And that was more, once I leave the hotel, or once I go in there, I'll stop into the woods. I'll stop at, Walmart, and I'll pick up some just food like wraps. I use wraps with lunch meat, stuff like that. Anyway, we're going into the weeds with that. Back to these bags. Overall, the bag idea worked great. It was just freezing them and dumping water on them that did not work great. You could get away with a smaller bag for sure. That's probably what I would do next time. These are, like I said, 1 quart. It's 7 by 10 inches. I would drop that down. I like the idea. I can just write on this and be done with it, freeze it. So we had a hurricane that just came through. That's what I did. I had 60 pounds of chicken. So the deep freezer worked for about day 4, and then it's stuff started getting defrosted. And that's where, if you haven't cooked the food, you got to cook it. So I figured, well, I'm going to give this thing to 7 days. And by that time, it's still cool, but everything's defrosted. I have to do something with it. And thankfully, the power turned on. I think it was day 8. So 7 days, I took all the chicken out, went to the sink, made them up, let it marinate. And then I think it was day 10, the power come back on, and I was able to smoke this chicken. And what it did, it was just nonstop chicken. So if you've seen the freezer pic here, I went through half of that already. So I got and I labeled just, that was just put chicken in here, 1 pound of chicken, cooked. Once it's cooked, then I measure it. 1 pound of chicken, put it on here. That way I know, hey, this, well, to be honest with you, like a pound of chicken doesn't last long at all. I mean, it's like, technically a day you could eat a pound, but usually that will last me like 2 or 3 days because I get chickened out. All right. So overall, the bag idea worked. It was great. I think these last longer in the freezer than like regular like freezer bags or vacuum sealed. I think a lot of people, when they get into vacuum seal, that's good if you're going to have it like months and months and months out, to where these bags, regular freezer bags, I think they're fine. Long as once you freeze them for maybe within under 3 months, I would say, my opinion, 3 months, they're just as good as the vacuum seal. But I think the vacuum seal gets better like once it's in there a long time. But if you're going to eat this stuff within 3 months, I don't see the sense in vacuum sealing it. Just an extra process into cooking, and I hate cooking. And yeah, something else I add into my bags too is like frozen like peppers and onions and mushrooms. I'll saute that up, and I'll put like maybe a half a cup in one of these bags as well when I'm making my meal up. But guys, I got to wrap this up because I'm starting to ramble on about stuff that's not really pertaining to this video. But overall, this was a good score. I have there were 60 of these. I forget what I paid for them. But like I said, they're a quart. I think you can get away with less than a quart, especially if you're going to dehydrate it. You can definitely get away with less. But anyway, guys, I love to hear how you guys, like, if you're going to prep like week meals, like even smoking, without making this a science experiment. Because there's people out there that make their smoking into a science experiment. It's delicious, and then you eat a lot, and then you get a little pudge here. But anyway, guys, I'd love to hear how you do like multi-prep, like multi-week prepping, or even a smoker. Because when I load my smoker up, I like to load it up and smoke it, and just be done with it and have like multiple days or weeks of smoked meat in there. So I'd like to just curious to see how you guys are doing it, if you're even doing this. How, if you have a smoke recipe, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. You put chips in there and turn it on, make sure it's cooked, then, you get a little smoke flavor to it. And, yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple, but, anyway, guys, gotta go. I'm starting to lose focus here.